Well, 1, 2, 3, you're back in the room. That is the subject of this short video. My name is Dr. Jonathan Royal. If you want to know more about me personally, look at my website, magicalguru.com. But anyway, you're back in the room. A new ITV hypnosis-based game show is causing some controversy. Indeed, today as I record this video, which is Sunday the 8th of March 2015, an article has appeared in the Mail on Sunday newspaper entitled ITV's You're Back in the Room, Savaged by Therapist. And in relation to that article, I just want to make a short video to set a few things straight. But before I do, just allow me to clarify something, okay? I am a professional stage hypnotist and hypnotherapist, and indeed arguably, as you can see on my website of magicalguru.com, arguably I have personally taught, directly taught, or then later taught, influenced and given advanced training to the vast majority of the truly confident, competent and successful working hypnotherapist and stage hypnotist in the world today. So I feel, you know, somewhat qualified to make comment on this. Also, myself personally, I've been doing stage hypnosis shows both in theatres, pubs, clubs, nightclubs, corporate functions, hotels, and on television worldwide for over 25 years now, and I've been treating people with hypnotherapy for close to 26 years at the time of making this short video. So, having established the fact that, you know, I may actually know something about hypnosis, well, it's to be hoped so, seeing that I am the president of the professional organisation of stage hypnotists and also the chairperson for the Association of Complete Mind Therapists, both of which collectively are the largest professional groups, the largest membership societies for stage hypnotists and hypnotherapists, certainly in England and Europe, arguably in the world. But you can find out more if you want for any form of media interview by contacting me via my website, magicalguru.com. So, regards the article in the Mail on Sunday today, let's set a few things straight. A hypnotherapist by the name of Mark Powlett states in that article, he is quoted as saying you cannot make people do things under hypnosis that they do not want to do. He also says that hypnosis is a relaxed state only, and you know, if people were hypnotized, they'd be so relaxed that they wouldn't be responsive and do anything of an entertaining or animated nature for a show such as ITV's You're Back in the Room. That is complete and utter tosh and balderdash, and clearly the ramblings of an individual who either knows little about the true reality of hypnosis or obviously has some kind of agenda. Now, the truth of the matter is this, and this is not just my opinion, it's my experience of the best part of 26 years, and it's also the experience of the feedback I've got from my many thousands and thousands of students around the world who professionally do stage hypnosis or hypnotherapy or both after having studied my stuff or coming to me for continued coaching and mentoring. Here's the experience. The truth is, if you truly know what you're doing and you've been taught correctly the real truth, the real techniques, then you can make anyone say or do absolutely anything, and I mean anything, that you should so desire, even if it does contradict their moral code or personal values. All these so-called experts and all these hypnotherapists who say you can't make people do things against their will, they're just scared of telling you the truth, or they don't actually know the truth themselves because they were not taught properly. The fact is, as Robert Temple, a wonderful author, states in the book Open to Suggestion, The Uses and Abuses of Hypnosis, and it is also stated by one of my mentors, the now late, he's passed away unfortunately, but very great Delavar, in the Hypnotist Bible, you most certainly can make anyone say or do anything that you should so desire, even if it does contradict the moral code or their values. And it is also true to say, despite what other people would like you to believe, that you can hypnotise people. I use the term loosely, hypnosis is just a label, a tag for a process, but you can hypnotise people even against their conscious knowledge, you know, without them even knowing. Hey, Hitler's a fine example. He hypnotised an entire nation. Read the book The Crowd by Gustav Le Bon. It goes into great depth of the true psychology of crowd and human being manipulation, because that's all hypnosis really is. In hypnotherapy, it's really just a ritualistic process to manipulate belief and expectancy, to trigger off a placebo response, to give somebody a focus and also an excuse and motivation and a reason for change in their life, and also the perfect excuse so they can walk away, and when people say, why didn't you do this sooner in your life, they can go, well, I couldn't, but I'm so glad this therapist helped me do it. In other words, it removes blame from them, guilt from them. They don't have to blame themselves when deep down they know they could have really got off their arse and sorted this out sooner. And with stage hypnosis, the truth is, deep down, people want their 15 minutes of fame. They want to be the centre of attention. Quite often the people who volunteer seem like off stage, the shy people, but in truth, you know, they want to feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued, because those things help increase their self-worth, self-confidence, self-esteem, self-control. It makes them feel better. You know, and they've got the perfect excuse, because afterwards they can say, he or she, depending on the sex of the hypnotist, made me do it. I was hypnotised, I couldn't stop myself. That's kind of a key point as well. Am I saying hypnosis doesn't exist? Well, yes, I am, in the context of the way most so-called hypnotists would try and explain to you what it is. There is definitely a phenomenon which, when you understand the psychology of which and how to manipulate people with those psychological techniques, enables you to easily help people to stop smoking, lose weight, gain confidence, cure the phobias in seconds or minutes. Yes, that there is a genuine phenomenon, but it's not what most people perceive hypnosis to be. And on stage, do people go into some kind of special state to become the star of the show? Honestly, most of them, no. Some people will go into a state of self-delusion, a state of self-manufactured illusion, where, due to the manipulation used and the psychological tactics, they end up actually convincing themselves that they are hypnotised. But you know what, in truth, their motivation for volunteering in the first place was the 15 minutes of fame. And with this TV game show, there's a motivation of winning money. Now, in that regard, Keith Barry is quoted in the Mail on Sunday article. Keith Barry, the mentalist, mind reader, but also does a bit of hypnosis, who is doing the apparent hypnosis on the show. He says that people were throwing their prize money away and they would never do that if they were truly hypnotised. Well, I disagree with that statement as well, because my experience is that you can hypnotise people and while they're hypnotised, you can tell them, you can put money in front of them and tell them if they are able to pick it up, that they can keep it. And you can put a big pile of money there and they will be unable to pick it up. And the more they try, the more they'll be unable to, even though they really want the money. And by the same token, if you tell people who are hypnotised that perhaps the money is not money, it's dirty, or every time they try and touch it they get an electric shock or some such similar thing, then they will throw it away. Either because A, they've been manipulated so well that arguably they convinced themselves they're hypnotised, so arguably they are hypnotised, in which case they would do as they were suggested under hypnosis, or more likely, especially where money is a motivation and 15 minutes of fame and they know they're being filmed for TV, a thing called cognitive dissonance would kick in so much as if they were not to react to the suggestion they had been given, okay, then that would mean that they would have to admit, and it would become obvious, that they had not been genuinely reacting to suggestions previously and had just been acting or reacting the part of someone who was hypnotised and acting or reacting in the manner they perceived that people who were hypnotised would react or act in that scenario, context or environment. So you see, if they suddenly didn't react to the suggestions, it would beg the question, why did they suddenly stop? And the truth would be because obviously they were never hypnotised in the first place. Their motivation was the money, arguably. So therefore they've got to continue doing things, even if it means throwing prize money away. Because even if they threw all the prize money away, they'll know deep down that that would make the audience laugh even more and more and more and be even more amazed, and would apparently make it look as though they're genuinely hypnotised even more, so that it would open up to them the opportunity of featuring and being the standout performer or volunteer or contestant, call it what you will, in that television show, which, as people know from reality TV shows and the experience of stuff that's happened in the past, like Big Brother and other game shows, quite often people who really stand out on screen can end up being interviewed for newspaper or magazine articles or on other TV shows or radio programmes. So their 15 minutes of fame is extended, and quite often they can get, you know, the £250 or more for their reader's story in a magazine. In other words, there's many motivations for people to do this for a television game show. So I don't believe for 1 minute that them throwing their prize money away in any way proves they were genuinely hypnotised. So we can disregard that comment by Keith Barry. So another comment in the Mail on Sunday's article was from a lady quoted as Liz McElligott. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, who's quoted as being a spokesperson for the National Hypnotherapy Society. She also says you can't make people do things they don't want to do. Again, I reiterate, read Open to Suggestion by Robert Temple, The Uses and Abuses of Hypnosis, or The Hypnotist Bible by Delavar, or come on one of my courses. Merely go to hypnotismexposed.com and come and join me in London in July for 3 days, and I will teach you how to make anyone do anything or say anything, even against their will, without their conscious knowledge, and without them even knowing you've hypnotised them, if the context, environment and scenario is correct. And I'll tell you how to create such. But obviously only for legal, moral and ethical purposes will I be teaching this, and educational purposes. Or if you're looking at home study courses, go to magicalguru.com. But the point is, the Mail on Sunday article is full of inaccuracies. Mark Powlett and Liz McKelly say you cannot hypnotise people to make them do things against their will. Totally untrue. You most definitely can make people say or do anything you want when you know what you're doing and you know how to do it right. Heck, Darren Brown proves such on his Channel 4 show Assassin. He got somebody to murder somebody. Alright, it was blanks in the gun, but basically this was for real. It may as well have been. It can be done. I promise you. Tom Silver in America did a similar thing. Delavar talks about similar things in the Hypnotist Bible. These things have genuinely been done in real life. You just have to look at certain studies and things. I'm not even going to go into Stanley Milgram and the electrocution stuff or the acid throwing experiments. The fact is, read Open to Suggestion, it's all in there. You genuinely can make people do things against their will, without their conscious knowledge, and you can manipulate things so that they are apparently hypnotised without knowing it, both for stage and therapeutic purposes. However, when it comes to television, it's the most untrustworthy medium because it's so expensive to film that is why quite often there will be auditions for contestants or participants, and then they'll pick the best of them and call them back for another run-through, rehearsal, audition, and then they'll call them back again. In fact, if you look at hashtag YBITR, that's hashtag YBITR for You're Back in the Room, on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, Google in general, or search hashtag You're Back in the Room or hashtag Hypnosis Game Show, you'll very quickly discover that an awful lot of the people who are already putting up photographs or videos of themselves and saying they took part in this programme are stating on their profiles that they're actors or actresses, or that they're musicians, or they work in the television industry, or that they work in something connected to the media, or working with the public in a corporate hospitality entertainment context. In other words, these are people who have a potential gain to getting their 15 minutes of fame. They're most likely to be of the mentality of doing anything for the crack, for the laugh, especially with the chance of 15 minutes of fame and money. Or to put it another way, what you're going to see on your back in the room bears no relation to the reality of genuine stage hypnosis that you could go and see live. If you came to see me do a live show, or you went to see somebody such as Ken Webster in Blackpool, at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, or Andrew Newton, who tours throughout England, or you know, even if you went to see Keith Barry, who is a really great stage hypnotist live, if you went to see him in his live theatre show, it would be very, very different than what you're going to see on TV. Because genuine volunteers from the audience will get up, and without going to an audition and a callback and another callback, and going through mega filtering processes to find the most, they would argue, most hypnotizable people. I would say the people who truly would act up for the camera and want their 15 minutes of fame. Indeed, as the Mail on Sunday, I think this is probably the only thing they got totally accurate and true, is the fact that somebody on Twitter has posted the fact they auditioned and really got the feeling that the TV company were just looking for people who would do whatever they were asked to do, would be truly compliant and wanted their 15 minutes of fame. Indeed, yesterday, Saturday the 7th of March, I was at a wonderful hypnosis training run by a colleague of mine, and there were a couple of people there who'd auditioned for the show, and they basically expressed the same opinion, that they were convinced they were looking for people who just basically, hypnosis wouldn't have been required. Just the chance to be on TV, the chance to win some money, but more importantly than the money, the chance for fame was all they needed to be the standout performer. So please do not think that what you're going to see on your back in the room is any reflection on going to see a genuine stage hypnotist live. You will see something that is far better, far more believable, far more credible and far more real when you go and see a hypnotist live. There's also the element that under Ofcom rules you're not allowed to broadcast a hypnotic induction in full on television. This is because back in the early 50s Peter Casson was filming something for the BBC, and one of the cameramen in another room apparently went under. Okay, so because of that they got scared and said, oh, we're not allowed to broadcast the full hypnotic induction in case it affects people at home. Anyway, the point is, in a nutshell, you can make people do things against their will. You can hypnotise people without them knowing it. In fact, you can hypnotise people without saying a single word to them. These are things I demonstrate and teach on my live training, as you can see at hypnotismexposed.com. I also teach this in my home study courses, which you can find at magicalguru.com. That's magicalguru.com. Look on the training page there, look at the testimonials, and you'll see that I've taught the vast majority, arguably the vast majority, of the truly confident and competent and successful stage hypnotists and hypnotherapists that are actually working around the world today. So, you know, I think that kind of speaks for itself. Look at the testimonials and then consider this. I'm one of the few trainers who will actually tell you the truth, and the truth is, practically everything and anything is possible with the thing people call hypnosis. But what is hypnosis? The truth is, it's nothing more than manipulating people's expectations and belief systems. It is, when done correctly, a mild form of brainwashing. When done at an advanced level, arguably it is advanced brainwashing. It is not the simple thing that some people would make out. It does get abused by people, so be sure before you go to see a therapist that you check out. They've got lots of testimonials from people you can check out that are genuine. Before you book a stage hypnotist, again, make sure they've got prior experience. In both cases, make sure they've got public liability insurance that covers them for while they're hypnotising people. Make sure they've got proper written risk assessments for their activities. Above all else, be safe. And remember, Hypnosis Live as a form of entertainment is one of the funniest, most amazing things you will ever see, both as a volunteer and as an audience member. But what you see on TV, sadly, especially when there is the motivation of money, or your 15 minutes of fame and the potential extra money that could come off the back of that for magazine articles, interviews and such like, is the least credible form of hypnosis you will ever see, unfortunately. That applies to hypnotherapy as well, and television life coaches. It's just the most false, artificial environment there possibly could be. My name's Jonathan Royal. Don't believe everything you read in the newspapers. Contact people who truly know. Check out magicalguru.com and have a great day. Enjoy the TV shows, but remember, seeing a hypnotist live will be far more credible, far more real, because you will actually know people in that audience. You may even be the volunteer, but you'll at least know them, and you'll know that they wouldn't normally do that, even if there was a motivation or of a little bit of fame. Whereas the people you're going to see on TV, check out the backgrounds. I'm sure the media will. People who want to be actors, actresses, musicians, performers in front of the public, people who work in the media industry on some level or connected in the peripheries, all already have a kind of mind state that makes them perfect fodder to be totally compliant and to act or react perfectly in these situations. Goodbye.